In this video, we will discuss 4 different structures to help you create a logical flow in your presentations. Note that this is not an exhaustive list, but a few common structures you might want to consider when planning your presentation. First, let's talk about the IMRAD or IMRAD structure. This is the most common structure used in academic work. You may be familiar with it from reading academic journals. It is most commonly used in the sciences, but can also be found in humanities work. This structure involves beginning your presentation broadly by introducing your reader to the topic area, the background information, the question or problem you are addressing, your thesis, and the importance of the work. You then narrow the focus by discussing the methods used to address the question or problem and the results of these methods. Your presentation ends by opening back to the broader ideas through discussing the answer to your question, its implications, and its relationship to the literature and the real world. The key feature of this structure is that it starts off broad, gets specific, and ends off broad again by linking back to the starting concepts. The OCAR or OCAR structure follows a similar pattern to IMRAD by starting broad, getting narrow, and ending broad. You may be familiar with this structure if you are an avid reader, as it is a pretty common structure used in storytelling. OCAR involves beginning your presentation with an opening that introduces your audience to the character's background and setting of your project. Once the audience is familiar with these concepts, you introduce the challenge that your characters, perhaps you, are facing. The action involves telling the audience how you are going to, hope to, or do, or did address the challenge. Your presentation ends with a resolution to the challenge as a result of the action and relation back to how your opening elements, the character setting, etc., have changed. Because OCAR and IMRAD both move from broad to specific and back to broad, you might consider using one or the other as a way to engage your audience regardless of the content that you're presenting. Another presentation structure you might consider is the ABDCE structure. ABDCE stands for Action, Background, Development, Climax, and Ending. You might be familiar with this structure without even realizing it if you've watched any pop culture action movies such as James Bond, Fast and the Furious, or many superhero films. These film-style presentations start with a big dramatic action point to engage the audience and get us involved in the work. The presentation then takes a couple steps back to provide background and help us understand what's going on with these characters, their challenges, and how the story develops before reaching its climax. The ending of the presentation summarizes the work to tie up loose ends or sometimes leave the audience wanting more. A similar attention-grabbing structure is the lead development and sometimes lead development resolution structure. This inverted triangle style goes from broad to specific, but not back. We often see it used in news media and social media. This presentation starts with a big headline to attract the audience and gets more specific with time so that the audience follows it through to the end, where sometimes there's a resolution, but there may not be. So when should you use these different structures? IMRAD and OCAR are most commonly used when speaking to specialist audiences, often because these audiences know a little bit about your topic and are invested in learning more about what you are presenting on. We see these structures used in formal presentations on academic papers or projects, thesis defense presentations, lectures or seminars, and conference presentations. They are typically for longer, more formal presentations to known or interested audiences. The ABDCE and the LD or LDR structures are more commonly seen when speaking to generalist audiences. This is because these styles put the action first, and the action is what attracts the attention of the audience. These structures are also great for shorter communications because putting the action first helps quickly get to the key points of your presentation while maintaining the audience's interest as you explain further. Keep in mind that these are not the only presentation structures out there. You are welcome to use whichever structure works best for your presentation. You may even consider creating your own version of one of these to cater to your audience's needs. For example, you might have a formal project presentation, but you want to start off with the action to wow your audience before you get into the details. That would be like starting off with the action and then using IMRAD or OCAR. You might even consider blending the elements from IMRAD or OCAR to create a formal but personable story style presentation. The key is to have a structure with a logical flow so your audience can follow, understand, and appreciate your work.